I know my procedural safeguards. I know my procedural rights. Yeah, I know what I'm entitled to. Absolutely. Do you know what your rights are in special education in 504? Are you enforcing them? Are you asking for them to be delivered? So what are your rights and how do you know they're being delivered? We're going to talk about that tonight because so many people don't have a clue about what their child's rights are in special education. And some of those people might be at the school. So when you're listening to people that are telling you what your rights are and they don't have training in special education implementation of legal rights, you might be being led astray. And so I see it every day. It's unfortunate. 99.99999% of the people that work in schools are fantastic. God bless teachers and administrators and all of those, but you don't know your rights and you're listening to somebody else who's telling you what they are. So I think that it's really important for us to get back to the basics. What are my rights? What are my rights? What are my rights? At the beginning of every IEP meeting, you are delivered a packet called your procedural notice of procedural safeguards. It's a really fancy word for your rights. And the safeguard is, what are they safeguarding you from? Not knowing your rights. And so I know at the beginning of meetings, we'll start the meeting. Let's do introductions. Isn't anybody recording? You guys are recording, right? Please tell me that you're recording. So we're recording. I was at an IEP a few months ago in another state. I won't tell you the name, Nevada. And she said, we voted and we're not going to record. You voted? Was there a vote? So not really sure what that means. I've looked it up in the Federal Registry. Voting against recording, not there. It's just not there. So here's the good news. It's either in IDEA or it's not. It's either in or it's not. And so you want to make sure that if somebody's telling you what your rights are, especially when you're trying to enforce and invoke them, and you get a lot of what we call pushback. Anybody ever gotten any pushback from the school? No, Karen, we don't even know what you're talking about. We only get pushed forward from the school, right? So if you don't know what your rights are and you're depending on somebody to tell you what they are, you want to make sure that somebody is trained, has integrity, and a moral compass. Trained, integrity, and a moral compass. Yes. And whenever we say we're recording, they get out that 8-track tape player, right? So I always record. It's not personal, it's business, right? I'm 100 years old. Not able to always remind where my keys are. So I record. Tell them what it is, Daniel. Otter.ai, so good. So you get 9 hours for free, which just gets me started. And then it's like $10 a month for 6,000 minutes. So it's very exciting. So the first thing I do is we record. That's my right to record. When you go into court, is there somebody recording? Why? Are they recording in court to be mean? No, so that we can capture the information, so that we can capture the decisions that we made, in case we have to go back and make a clerical adjustment. And so it is the most important thing that happens in your child's educational product is that we deliver the IEP with fidelity, continuity, but a lot of that is based on your rights and if you know what they are. So, and they are limitless, right? And you don't know what you don't know. Unfortunately, special education is learn as you go. And you may be good at learning as you go, and you may not be good at learn as you go. What's the big deal, Karen? This is close enough. I had a family the other day, and she said, well, it's okay. We're getting about 60%. And I said, oh, no. So if you paid for a couch, they delivered 60% of the couch, you'd be like, oh, we love this couch. It doesn't have an end, but you don't need 2 ends. No, it's your child. You've signed a federal document, a contract, an agreement that this is what we're going to do to deliver a product to our student, and it needs to be done. So you're going to have to enforce your rights and invoke them. So you know how we all get the procedural safeguards at the beginning of the meeting. Mrs. Smith, I have to give you a copy of the procedural safeguards where you sign that you received them. And I like this. If you have any questions, just let me know. Really? Yes, I think that you guys should just stop the next meeting and go, I do have a question. Number one. So I would want to know how many of those people in the room have been trained on procedural safeguards. And I only know this from mediations and due process and OCR federal filings. You know who's been trained on it? It rhymes with hero. Yeah. Do you know who's required to be trained on the procedural safeguards? Same number, 0. 600 free minutes. Look at you, Daniel. And Daniel did my math yesterday. 15,750. Boom. I remember, Daniel. So if you don't know what your rights are, I wouldn't depend on somebody else to tell me, right? When you go and have surgery, they're telling you your rights. You have the right to whatever. We have the right to save you, right? We have all these rights. And you read them because it's important, because it's your life. This is your child's educational product. It's setting them up for destiny or destruction. There aren't two other options. So you need to get the procedural safeguards out, get them from your state. They're kind of all the same since federal law applies to which states? All the states. It does. The federal law applies to all the states. So you should know what they are so that you can enforce them and invoke. EE. I'm here to enforce and invoke. And a lot of times when you invoke your rights is when you get this, right? Whoa, the pushback. So today, what maybe you want to teach on this tonight, train on this. We had some pushback. So I had a lovely family who has a child that's struggling at school. She's a second grader. She goes to school all day. She has pulled reading intervention every day of the week, 5 days a week for 30 minutes, math intervention 3 days a week for 30 minutes, and she has a private tutor at her home. That's a lot for a 7-year-old, right? So we said we would like a referral for, we're requesting a FIE, a full individualized evaluation, and we get this back. Why? Don't you like that? Don't you like that you have to defend your position? So, and I said, because we believe that she has academic and attention issues that we want to have addressed. So they said, well, then we'll have to set up a referral meeting. A referral meeting. It was very official. I don't know. It's like the State of the Union address. So we set up this referral meeting. And so I know what that means. What that means is that they're going to try to tell me no. And I don't know if you've ever seen my business card, but my business card says, Karen Mayer Cunningham, special education boss. You don't tell me no. I tell you no, right? And so no to violating a child's rights with a disability in public school. I'm going to say no to that. Nope, 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 nope. So child fine, which is the premise of everything, right? And why do we have laws, you guys? We have laws, as somebody very smart one time said, you know why we have laws? Because people wouldn't follow the rules. If we would just follow the rules, we wouldn't have needed the laws. So the premise of everything in IDEA is child find. If something's lost, you go and find it. But to find something, you have to go look for it, right? Have you ever had your child like looking for something? Can you go find this? He's like, I don't see it. Well, you're not trying to find it, right? So child find says this. This is your first procedural safeguard as the guardian parent of a student. Here are the requirements. It says you have the right to have your child tested, located, tested for suspected disabilities. Do you ever see people in the neighborhood? Anybody can't read in there? No, it's your right to have your child tested for special education. So many times we get into these meetings and we start the interrogation, right? The interrogation. So today we're in a meeting for the referral meeting that we had to have with 8,500 people in there. And you know, I do love a crowd, but I think it's kind of ridiculous for a little girl in second grade. So we get in there, we get in there. And so finally I said 45 minutes into it. 45 minutes. That's longer than my first wedding. I said, so I'm not sure where we're tracking. I'm pretty sure I've never sat in a referral meeting for 45 minutes. So the option is either grant the testing or deny it. But I'm not going to have you sit here and interview my client. So the law says that we go out, locate, and find children with suspected disabilities and evaluate them. We don't go out, locate, and find children with confirmed disabilities Suspected. And your behavior is suspicious. So do not let the school interview you. We ask for the evaluations, either grant it or deny it. And I see so many families that are having to put on this whole case about why they have the right to child find. It's your right. So a child who is in need of special education testing, it's your right to request that. So here is the email that we send. It's very clean, right? So, dear staff, this is our formal request for Billy Smith to have special education testing. Areas of suspected disability are attention and learning disabilities. So today we're in this referral meeting. Oh, and I wanted to be referred somewhere else. And it's going slow. Like, don't you like that? Like the Chinese water torture. And I like one speed on, right? And so I can tell by the way they're talking where they're tracking. You can just tell, like they're excited to be there. And I could tell because the general ed teacher is going like this the whole time. And I said to her, I said, you seem upset. I'm not upset. Well, you're shaking your head every time I talk. So, you know, I know what happens in these meetings sometimes, and it's really unfortunate. It's really bad manners, and it's illegal, right? So we're going through this as slowly as possible, right? And so they're saying how good she's doing, how good she's doing, how good she's doing. So I said, so she goes to work all day, called school. She has all these interventions. She has a private tutor as a 7-year-old. I don't know that she's doing so good. Oh, she's doing really good. I said, well, she failed all of her benchmarks. Well, maybe you don't understand what a benchmark is. I understand what a benchmark is, and I'd like to hit you over the head with a benchmark. So I'm not 22, right? So no, she's met him. I said, so in the red letters where it says did not meet, does that mean meet? No, I don't think you understand what they're for. Yes, I understand what they're for. Then I asked him, what is her reading level? Promise you, this is what she said. Promise you. She's at a DRA K. She's at a DRA. You use DRA? Yes, we do. Okay. Well, DRA is numbers. No, it's letters. No, I have it right here. Well, I don't know how outdated that was. Well, it's not outdated. I don't have anything outdated. She is a K. Maybe you just need to convert it. Oh, I'm about to convert you. Right? So again, that's why we have the reading chart for you guys that we're gonna show you at the end of the reading chart. It's so exciting. So when you're being told stuff, when you're being interviewed, when people are talking to you condescending, that's a problem because you tried to invoke your rights. And so she's talking, she seems, and you know, when she's focused, you know, she doesn't seem very focused. I said, well, that sounds like your opinion. And we do all things in special ed based on one thing, data. She's 7. I don't think that she got this morning and said, ooh, I cannot wait to not focus in Mrs. Smith's class. So we get through it, she's going slower. And so here we are now at the conclusion. Do we think as a committee, I mean, she's made great progress. So I just said, listen, either grant the testing or deny it, but we're not doing this. So finally she goes, well, school-based members, what do you think? And one of them said, why not? Right? 1 hour. 1 hour of Chinese water torture. And the truth is, most parents aren't able to hold up under that Chinese water torture. The school started out saying, well, she's never been tested for special education. And I said, well, actually, September 10th, 2018, she was tested. No, she wasn't. She was at her private Catholic school. It should be in her folder. We don't have it. We need to see a copy of it. I said, well, you have a copy of it because you're the school. What were the findings? I said, well, they never provided them any findings. What was it for, Mom? What test did they use? She goes, well, I don't know. I wasn't there doing the test. What were the findings? The findings were you are wearing me out. So when you get into sort of those word things, and we're back and forth, and we can't do this, and our school can't do this, I would find that to be really suspicious and concerning. And it's bad. It's just bad manners. And unfortunately, I see it more times than I care to remember. But it's pressuring parents to make decisions based on data that is not accurate, and leading people about what can and can't happen based on their rights. So you have the right, you have procedural rights. So every year the school must provide you these rights. This school is required to give you this notice of procedural rights one time a school year, except that the school must give you another copy of the document upon initial referral or request for evaluation, receipt of the first special education complaint filed, receipt of the first due process hearing, complaint in the school year when a decision is made to take disciplinary actions that constitute a change of placement, or upon your request. You and the school make decisions about your child's educational program through a process called the IEP. The IEP committee determines whether the child qualifies for special education services and related services. The committee develops, reviews, and revises your child's plan placement. Additionally, information regarding the role of the committee is available from your school in a companion document. So again, you can only invoke your rights if you know what they are. So if it sounds suspicious, if it sounds funky, if the people there seem irritated, that is an indicator that maybe you're not getting the whole truth. And if you're not getting the whole truth, I would call that a lie. Yeah, that's what I would call that. Because you took the whole federal funds. And I hate that parents are treated this way. And so many times parents are like, well, I don't think I need an advocate. I get along with the school. This has nothing to do with you getting along with the school. If you were going to buy a house, would you get a realtor? Mm-hmm. If you were going to buy stocks, would you get a broker? Yeah. Why? Because you're a mean person? No, because you don't do that for a living, right? So you're going to want to take somebody with you. There's lots of agencies. There's lots of support groups. Maybe it's another mom. Maybe it's somebody that can just help you walk through the process. But this is a decision that you're making for your child's educational future. You're advocating for them because they cannot advocate for themselves. And so I just really want you guys to watch when they twist and pervert information. I can't stand that. So we finally get to the process. Like, finally, we're going to have a baby. It's been 9 months. So she starts out the meeting, the referral meeting, and she said, oh, this is Mrs. Smith, the speech language pathologist, but if it's okay with you, we're going to go ahead and dismiss her. I said, why? Well, because you didn't ask for a speech in your request. I said, well, this is an initial full individualized evaluation. So in the initial, by law, you have to do it in all areas. So you want her to say? I said, well, actually, I don't care if she stays or not. She doesn't need to give us notice and consent, but it's certainly, I said, it's your decision. And the little girl, she goes, I'll stay. Okay, great. She's going to stay. So we're walking through it. We finally get to the end. We finally agree that, oh my gosh, this child has an educational need. And so she goes, okay, so you want cognitive? So you're looking for specific learning disabilities? Mm-hmm. So you want cognitive? Mm-hmm. Achievement? Yep. And then you want attention? Mm-hmm. Well, do you have a doctor's note with you? I said, so we don't need to have that right now, and parents are not going to be asked those questions. It's part of the evaluation. So, and then she goes, so we'll do an FBA, and I said, so we'll do a full psychological evaluation. That's what that emotional behavioral piece is. Okay, so I think we've got it. I said, so you're going to do adaptive behavior. Do you want that? It's one of the 8 that we test in. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do sociological. Yeah, we could do that. And we'll do health and medical. That's the doctor's note if you're going to get it. Actually, Tiny Dancer, the nurse does vision and hearing. Yeah, we'll do that again when we come back. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So, and I said there's some additional stuff that we would like. We would like a music therapy evaluation. We would like assistive technology and written expression. We would like occupational therapy and written expression, occupational therapy and sensory. And we would like those all to be what? What do we want? Formal. Do we want a screener? No. Formal. We don't want a screener. Not interested in a screener. If I wanted a screener, I wouldn't be having a referral for special education testing. So you have to know what you want, you have to know what your rights are, and you have to be able to invoke them. 75% of the world are responders, 25% of the world are drivers. I think we know which category that I'm in. So you're outnumbered, you're outmanned. So when you go to these meetings, make sure you have somebody there to support you. You need support from a friend, a loved one, so that you can get through the process and you know your rights. If you don't know your rights, if you don't understand something, then stop. Say, I don't understand where you got that from. Because a lot of times people say, well, it's our policy. I like this. In our district, during this one meeting today, this one meeting I could train for 10 hours. She goes, well, in our district, dyslexia is not special ed. It isn't? Like you have like a special district? I said, so dyslexia is either served under 504 or IDEA if you have a specific learning disability and you also have dyslexia, that comorbidity may rise to the level of being served by a special education teacher. So you don't know what you don't know. You know, there's a saying that says when you're arrested, not that any of y'all have ever been arrested, what do they say? You have the right to what? You have the right to remain silent. Something I've never invoked, right? Because why? Everything that you say will be used against you. So watch for when you're saying stuff in a meeting, when you're trying to help your kiddo, is it being used against you? We also have in our great state of Texas, we have IEPs, they're called facilitated. And that's where somebody sent from the state comes and helps facilitate the meeting. I call it advocate light, but knows what your rights are and it can explain them to you, and then can also help explain to the school what the parents are saying, because sometimes there's that gap. So after this long hour, it was an hour, guess what? We got the notice and consent, and we signed for her to have special education testing. And when we make it that hard for parents, most parents will just go away. And it's so unfortunate because those kids don't get what they need and are entitled to, and we have laws around. So make sure that you don't back up because it was uncomfortable. So child find is what we're talking about. It is important that we know that the school is to go out three things. Locate, identify, and evaluate children with disabilities, with suspected disabilities. You don't have to prove your case. You don't have to give 74 evaluations. You don't have to prove how big the gap is. You have to request special education testing when there's a need. And so a lot of times I see these families that don't get that, but they're like, but I got a 504. Look, I got a 504. Do you know what a 504 is? Yeah. A 504 is not special education. It's not specifically designed instruction. It's not. A 504, we're not measuring something. You don't have the legal protections. If you have a 504, the school can call down your student, whether he's 7 or 17, and take away components of the 504. Did you know that? You didn't. So if you don't know something, what you don't know really can hurt you. So I want you to know what your procedural safeguards are. I want you to get them back out, print them off from your great state. Number 1, child find. Number 2, prior written notice. You have the right to be notified legally about the decisions we made, what we accepted, what we rejected, and both parties' positions. Okay? So please go get your procedural safeguards and open them, right? So we spend the least amount of time in a special ed meeting on them, and they couldn't be more important. So a couple of questions have come in. You guys have the best questions. I love your questions. You have the most amazing people that you work with. You did a third of their job by bringing the student to them, and they still try to ignore the need. Yes, that's true. That is, but I help them. I help them with the need, right? So here's what you need to know. So we talked about this yesterday, all the contingency plans, and we'd like to give you ESY, and people are just agreeing to all sorts of stuff and drinking the Kool-Aid. So here's some new little letters that I got back. So we make it really clear, right? We disagree with the contingency plan as it denies my student faith. However, during COVID, whatever general ed or special education services you'd like to provide, Billy Smith, we'd be happy to receive. So it's pretty clean. We didn't say you're a bottom feeder and I know what you're doing and you're going to special ed jail. Didn't say any of that. And just note our concerns. So here's what school said back. So let me see if I got this right. Oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? So you're saying you agree to part of it or just some of it, or you don't want any services? Does that sound like manipulation? It is. It either is manipulation or it's not. So if you don't agree to the contingency plan, then we have to. I'd watch that phrase, we have to. We have to have a meeting. Well, you didn't have a meeting when you made the contingency plan, but if I disagree with you, you have to have a meeting? I don't think so. So I actually sent a lovely email last week because I'm lovely, and they just wouldn't stop. One school wouldn't stop. So finally I replied all, and it's a good thing I go to church. I replied all and I said, stop manipulating the parent into coming to an illegal meeting. The principal was like, thank you, Ms. Cunningham, the diagnostician. Oh, I'm sorry. Da, da, da. So it's not okay. It's not legal. And it pressures parents. Okay. Here's another one. It's a doozy. You ready? So here is a family. You're not going to believe this, right? So there's no state testing this year. Hallelujah. Dear parents, I've had several questions concerning the test going home May 20th. I like to read like that when it's terrible. Below, I've tried to answer them to the best I can. If you have any other questions, please contact me as we continue to break the law. No, it doesn't say that. Does it say that? What if it said that? That'd be great, right? As my friend says, admit it and quit it. Is it common that there is a team lead, an evaluation team lead, holding meetings and doing paperwork at a middle school of 955 kids? You know, there's so many people now leading you, right? So now we have IEP facilitators, we have the team lead, we have the educational lead. I think what's interesting is if you find out from your state, there's no onus requirement for them to be trained in anything specific. So yes, they pop up with different names. Can the school district take a child from an IEP to a 504? If a child is showing great improvement and meeting goals as they get older, worried that eventually 504 will be suggested versus IEP. So the difference is, do you have a disability and are you in need of specifically designed instruction? Yep, he's in need of specifically designed instruction. A 504, I don't want to say it's a waste of paper. I might have said it's a waste of paper. Yeah, that's what I've said, in my opinion. And what do I know? I have, in all of these thousands of millions of years, I've probably seen less than 5 students who benefited from a 504. So that's bad math. So a 504 costs a district. We just had a great article come out September 2016 called Denied, where it was revealed that Texas had put an illegal cap on special education, so egregious, so embarrassing, so disgusting, for 10 years. And we capped it at 8.5%. I was on an attorney call the other day. I'm not an attorney, but I have walked across law school campuses. I don't know if that's the same thing. And he said in his state, the great state of, what are the states on the right side by the water? I think it was in Pennsylvania. This is terrible. I'm making it up. The percentage of special ed in his state was 12%, which was fantastic. So the national average of special education students is about 12.3%. Pediatricians will say 25%. So in this article, Denied, in the Houston Chronicle, it said a 504, wait for it, cost the school district, anybody? $2. Not 200, not 2,000, $2. Pretty sure can't get a coffee for $2. Not a coffee and a bag of Funyuns. An IEP is going to cost the school district about $2,500. $2, $2,500. So my child might be the most expensive child in the school, And that's fantastic. I don't have a problem with that. My child has the same right to an education, services, and supports as the valedictorian, the captain of the football team, and the genius that can split an atom in science class. So there are things that you don't know that are impacting those decisions. But yes, if your child is no longer in need of specialized instruction, you could consider a 504. I was told the same thing, that she was going to be retested to take my daughter off an IEP. I was at a meeting one time and we asked for new testing. It's sort of like when if you ever, there's a saying called, poke the bear and you get this response. There's a reason you get that response. So I said, this little boy, it was time for his triennial three-year reevaluation. So you want me to test him and see if he doesn't qualify anymore? And I said, when you talk like that, I wonder what kind of response are you expecting? And see, me being me, I can say that and then hold my, my eye gaze at her. Most people couldn't say that, but I really just, so when you talk like that, what response are you expecting? So many parents aren't ready for some of the things that happen in a meeting, right? It's sort of the unknown. So you have to be ready for what we call the pushback. $2, $2,000. So if you had a business and you were in charge of the budget, would you have to be responsible with that? Absolutely. However, it's been my experience over the years, it really isn't about the money. From my experience, what do I know? It's really been about power and position. And some people are not really very responsible given both of those things. Just my opinion. It's my opinion, it's never about the money. It's about something else. So anyway, here's this great letter going out for the test that's going home. A test is going home. Isn't that funny? I can't even get a copy of the school's test because we're not allowed to have it. But okay. So wait for it. Are you ready? So this is about the test that's going home that will be comparable to the state assessment. What? This test is not mandatory. Not is in all caps, which means it's not. That's why it's going home, right? So if it's comparable to state testing, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't go home unless you guys are the state, right? So so you have to know what's right and what's not right. So here's what she says. So she says, your child is allowed to use any accommodations that were decided on in the meeting. They are? Like, are they allowed to, is one of the accommodations to stay in your pajamas? I hope this, remember, I'm just here to help. I don't want this test to be a traumatic experience. Well, the reason she's typing that is it already has been a traumatic experience, okay? So you got to know what your rights are. If you don't know what your rights are, find somebody that does. Get some help, get some, there's free law college. You can get somebody to help you there. You can get another parent. You can get it through somebody that's helped you walk through the process. But get the help that you need so you can make tough decisions at times so that your child could succeed. And so we have the new, are you ready for it? So exciting. We have the new reading charts. So stunning. It is across 8 curriculums. Look how exciting that is. So if you want a copy of the reading charts, look how beautiful that is. And then you just pull it out and you go, Mrs. Smith, DRA. Of course, you have to be able to make noises. Bloop. DRA would be numbers. So, which is the opposite of letters. Is it the opposite? I feel like it is. So, triennial. And they didn't put in the IEP is corrected. We're going to fix that. How does a triennial FIE change at 18 plus transition areas to address? That's a great question. So the triennial, so if you're going to look for services as an adult, you need to have that triennial be within 1 year of them turning 18. So a lot of times with my kiddos with an intellectual disability, maybe we're going to get guardianship and they'll qualify for that 18 to 21 education. We have to have that current so that when we give it to an agency, when they're adults, they can pull that data as current. So that really is important. So it's not about new eligibility. It's about present levels and how their disability impacts them. So glad you guys jumped on. Let us know. Please keep sending us your emails. Couldn't believe it unless I'd sat in it. I always say in special ed, I've seen it all, and I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So haven't seen it all. And people, I am enamored by people, and bless their hearts. I think most people in special ed are doing the best that they know how to do. But this is your child. If your child needed oxygen, you would get them oxygen. Your child needed good food, you get them good food. Your child needs a free and appropriate public education, and they're entitled to it. So if you guys want a copy of the reading logs, they're $75,000. We're waiving that fee. Daniel's going to pay for everybody. Daniel's going to pay reading logs on the house. Everybody gets a reading log. So just email me if you guys want a copy of the SMART goals, if you want the weekly logs, your IEP data collection logs, and now we have the reading log. It's so exciting. So just shoot me an email at Karen@specialeducationboss.com. Remember, we're doing all of this for one reason: successful student outcomes. We want our child to have gainful employment, independent living, and further education. When we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. If you have a question, just drop it in the queue, send us an email, and we will look forward to training you on whatever you guys need. Be careful what you sign at the end of the year, because we're wrapping it up fast. One last thing. There's this new little thing that they're slipping into the schedule of services page, and it says, it's a little tiny baby line, and it says, this IEP will be implemented when school is back in session. Nope, this IEP will be implemented every day. So school is in session, the building is locked. Read it, read it, read it. What you don't know can hurt you. You have rights, invoke them, enforce them, and go out and you guys be the best special education boss your kids ever had. We'll see you in the next video.